They're available now as well at the Bulldog shop, either online or at VU Witten Oval. As we get set for second quarter action. Goals in the opening term to Ugle Hagen for White. Karma's kick 2, Orgel and Dale, the goal kickers for Blue. So can White use it to their advantage? Use the breeze in this second term. Sweet continues in the ruck against English. Neither ruckman an effective tap. It's taken by McRae now. Feeds it back to Smith, who pops it over the top for Liberatore. Got a horrible bounce. Allows Bontempelli to swoop in. Links up with Treloar. Runs away. Has a bounce. Gets away from Daniel. Gives it to Dale. Inside 50. Karma's forced to spoil against Bruce, who tried to tap it on. It'll spill here for Jamison Ballantyne. Taken by Karmas. Sells the dummy nicely. Kicks towards the top of the square. It'll float towards the pocket. Goda can't keep it alive, and it is out of bounds. So, Tim, we'll start with your own situation. Where are you at physically and in terms of your preparation for round one?
Yeah, I've had a bit of a frustrating pre-season. I've seemed to go from injury to injury. At the moment, I've got a bit of a hamstring. So hopefully by sort of round 4 or 5, I'll be back available to play.
Good to hear. So at the moment, whereabouts are you in the rehab process?
No, I hurt my hamstring about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yep.
And I was able to get back from that. But then re-injured the same site in my hamstring. So
right.
I've got it was another 6 weeks after the initial injury. So
yep.
Yeah, I've got about 5 weeks to go, and so it's a little bit frustrating, but starting to run and build it up again.
Good. Here's Caleb Poulter, who had a good opening term in his first hit out in the red, white and blue, the former Magpie, spending time down back, and the White defenders had plenty to do in that opening quarter. Daniel. Poulter tries to slap it away. They come from all sides. Liberatore in over the top of Riley West. Umpire says holding the football. Who from all reports really flew out of the blocks. His form early in the preseason was absolutely outstanding. He's had a great summer.
Yeah, he's obviously one of our prime movers in the midfield. I don't know how, but he's still a bit underrated within the competition. He was runner-up in our best and fairest last year, and he's just carried on with it again this preseason. Kick
from Darcy bounces towards the wing. It's punched away. Norton wants a free kick for intentional, and he'll get it. So the A-list forwards, as you were, playing in white, wanting some more supply. They're up against the A-list defenders in blue. And that matchup will stay as is throughout the day. Norton, inside 50. Jones flew over the top of the pack. It spills to the deck. McLean tries to get it to Smith, who with strength gets rid of McComb. McRae off to Scott. Floats it high towards the square. Can Smith get there? He can, but it's already cleared the line. That is a lovely finish. Good goal for White early in this second term. Nice work on the left from Anthony Scott. Good start to the second quarter for White. And Anthony Scott, Tim, another who's going to get more opportunities. Obviously on the wing, but maybe a chance to roll through the middle of the ground a little bit more too as the Dogs continue to develop that inside depth.
Yeah, he's actually one that's had a really strong preseason. He's been mainly out on the wing, and he's got a really high work rate, so he gets back and helps the defenders. But then, just like he just did then, he gets forward of the ball as well and gets involved ahead of the footy. And yeah, that was a great finish.
Beautiful goal from Anthony Scott. And the White needed it. Gets them back within a couple of kicks. Early stages of this second term. So the two midfields, a combination of AFL and VFL players. Bontempelli against Bailey Smith. Sweet tried to get it to Liberatore. Got there in the end. Libba bangs it on that left boot, gets good distance on the breeze. Out comes Liam Jones and takes one of those trademark full-chested high grabs that he does as he just launches himself at a pack. Incredibly powerful, strong man. Super athletic. And hasn't missed a beat since he stepped back into the kennel. Kick to the wing. Well done, Bruce. Been useful behind the football so far. Daniel goes looking for Darcy. Punched away by Gardner. Darcy scraps at ground level. Actually extracts it. Gets it to Willoughby. Can't quite control it. Taps it over to Bailey Smith. Pressure came from Ed Richards as Daniel comes in, lays a strong tackle. And the umpire will call for it as Kai Stretton gets back to his feet. Daniel versus Stretton. They go at it again, and this time it's Kai Stretton who lays the tackle. Caleb Daniel set for a lot more minutes in the midfield this year. So creative. and elusive. West had to be quick. He's run down from behind by Arthur Jones. Talking in the first term to JJ about Arthur Jones, he's just got glimpses of magic. You get the feeling if he can put all those pieces together, he could be something quite special.
Yeah, he is. He's a bit of a twinkle toes. He loves to try and step someone and add some flair to the game, which is what you always love to hear. He likes to fly for the high ball as well. So if he's pretty slight still, so if he puts a bit of size on and can hold his own in the contest, then he's going to be a bit of a player.
Yeah, second year in the system, about 71, 72 kilos at the moment. Liberatore to Sweet. High kick inside 50. They come from all sides. Darcy, here is the aforementioned Arthur Jones. Bends at goalwards, but misses everything on this occasion. Throw in adjacent to the behind post. So quite a settled list, the Bulldogs. Mature in terms of where you are at as a group in your development curve. So really, if you can stay healthy, there's going to be a really good, deep competition for spots in that best 23.
Yeah, it absolutely is, especially with the tools we've got now. We've got a long list of key position players. So that competition is going to be on all year for spots, and which is healthy. It's what you want as a footy club. And there's going to be some good players playing VFL footy, which is also good for the entirety of the club. So it is an exciting time for the footy club, and hopefully we can make something of it.
Orgel went out wide to Raak, whose kick inside 50's cut off. Smith. Jared Gilby, the nephew of Lindsay. Kick back towards Lobb. Heavy collision there. You heard the slaps as Bontempelli and Rory Lobb both a little sore after that one. Luke Cleary comes to the bench. Replaced by Joel Garner, and Sam Willoughby has a spell as Lockie Sullivan checks back into the game for White. Sweet. Lovely tap to McLean, who backed out of that tackle cleverly and found his boot. Ugle-Hagan tries to crash through. West stuck to the task, got the hands free. Smith off to Williams. High down the line. Norton looking to compete and at least get it to ground. Keith wrapped up immediately by Jones. Umpire will call for the football. So you've been something of a swingman in your time, capable of playing at both ends of the ground. For a youngster like Sam Darcy who can do exactly that, as Libba can't quite keep it alive, it's going to be a useful weapon for the team to have players like yourself and Sam and others who are capable of sort of playing multiple roles and in any given week just be able to change the mix a little.
Yeah, it is. It's Sam's been ultra impressive, both behind the footy last year and then over the preseason. He's been a bit of both ends. He's obviously capable at 200 and nearly 10 centimetres to be a ruckman as well. So there's plenty there to offer with Sam, and he's going to be an exciting player for the future for a fair while.
Josh Bruce, another who can play at both ends of the ground. Predominantly as a defender this year, just to get him into the 23, because there is such forward stocks already. Liberatore with this free kick, just outside 50, he'll kick from. Second in the best and fairest last year, as Tim mentioned. Won it back in 2014, third in 20, third in 21, just so consistent. Strikes that one really well. Really well. Lovely finish from Libba, did it easily. Good start to this second term from White. They've responded, kicking with the breeze in the second term. And right back in the contest, there's one kick in it. It was hit the 8.5 minute mark of this second term. Today's stream proudly presented by the Bulldogs' principal partner, CoinSpot. For more information, coinspot.com.au. Lovely finish from Libba.
Yeah, it was. I was actually surprised he made the distance. He doesn't usually have a long leg on him.
That'll get back.
But no, that was a great finish. And White's are going a bit better this quarter, which is good to see.
Certainly got the potency inside 50. You have a look at the strike power they've got with Norton and Lobb and Ugle-Hagan down there right now. Libba having a spell inside 50, a bit of a rest. There's plenty of strike power, that's for sure. Just got to get it in there. Treloar. English went down and won it. Smith couldn't control it, was taken to ground when not in possession. It'll be a free kick here to Bailey Smith, and the White can go forward again as Tim English just roughs Bailey Smith up a little. Swings it wide. White with all the momentum right now. This is Jared Gilby. Drives towards the pocket. Lobb gets to position. Didn't get his hands up in the end. Gardner tried to get it to the line, couldn't do so, and Jones will finish and scores a level. We've got ourselves a good contest. Arthur Jones hits the scoreboard. This has been a great start to the second term for White. And they've tied things up as we hit the 10-minute mark. So again, we see the craftiness and creativity and finishing skill of Arthur Jones.
Yeah, I think the White midfield have sort of evened up the battle here, and a little bit of a breeze there heading to that end. So it's even up the game, which is what we want to see.
Speaking to Luke Beveridge and Stewie Edge, the VFL coach, Chris Grant, all in agreement. What they do want is a high-quality game because they want the ball pinging from end to end, because from an endurance perspective, you're going to get a lot more miles up than you are if the ball's sort of just stuck down one end and you don't get that extra run in.
Yeah, that's right. This time of year, it's still a little bit about getting that fitness, that game fitness ready to go. So you don't want it to be a stoppage game where you're just standing around. So it's good to see the ball going end to end, which we play a pretty direct brand of footy, which a lot of clubs are obviously trying to do nowadays, and it's on show now.
Sullivan wins that clearance. Kicks to R4. That is a great strong mark from Ugle-Hagan up against Ryan Gardner. He's taken the grab, and Ryan's just got up a little sore, really hanging on to that left forearm. Medical staff just hovering here, waiting to get to Ryan as soon as they clear the zone. Something going on off the ball at the top of the goal square as well. Lobb and Liam Jones involved there. And Anthony Scott as well. And Ryan Gardner's coming straight to the bench. So some concern here from the Dogs. We'll get you an update on Ryan as soon as we can from the team downstairs. But just in that awkward contest, and a 50-metre penalty was paid to Ugle-Hagan as a result of the activity up around the square. He goes forward, kicks the goal. And White have kicked 4 in this term, and they hit the front. So Jamara Ugle-Hagan gets his first. Took that grab in that strong contest up against Gardner, who landed awkwardly on that left forearm. And then a little bit of push and shove. I think Liam Jones may be involved there with Anthony Scott. 50-metre penalty to Jamara, and he goes back and pops it through from the top of the square. So it's White in front, 5-3 to 4-3. So we approach the midway point of this second term at Mars Stadium here in Ballarat. As I mentioned, we'll get an update on Ryan Gardner for you as soon as we can. Lobb and English continue in the middle. The Blue need some time in possession here. Can they get back on top? They can't right now. It's all one-way traffic. White completely dominant. Liberatore goes inside 50. McLean, good strong contest with Duray in there as well. But they come again, do White. This is Sullivan. He heads goalward, and they've kicked another. Well, this has been a complete turnaround in the second quarter. The Breeze doing some of the work, but the reality, Tim, is they're just winning it out of the middle.
Yeah, Libba's stepped up here. He's going well. It was a good finish there by Sol too. He's obviously strong around the contest, we know that, but he gets forward and kicks goals as well, which makes him a dangerous player.
So a complete turnaround from what we saw in the opening term when Tim English and his midfield were on top for Blue. Now it's White that are completely controlling the game right now, and it's up to the Blue team, led by Marcus Bontempelli in the middle, alongside Tim English. At the moment, Riley West in there as well with Kai Stretton. They've got to find a way to at least halve these contests out of the middle, because the quick delivery inside 50's killing the Blue defence.
Yeah, they're getting from those centre bounce and kicking centre bounce goals, which is pretty potent. It's what you don't want. So they need to at least halve these contests and scrap it out a bit.
So McLean versus Bontempelli. Liberatore back in there now against West, and he's been everywhere. So the Bont wins a clearance. They needed that one. Can they get something from this foray inside 50? It's paddled on by Orgel. English pushed forward from that contest, makes his presence known, lays a big strong tackle. At least now Blue can set up forward of the middle, get some numbers behind the football, and at least try to hold it in their front half to stabilise the situation. They might do better than that. Here's English. Nudged in the back as he kicks. It affects it, dribbles towards the line and beats Ballantyne over. So now from a Blue perspective, they haven't had much football, but they have got it in their front half. How do they go about setting up here to make sure they just hold it there and just almost catch their breath for a few minutes?
Yeah, the defenders need to make sure they're well organised and set up here just to to give themselves a bit of a breath after the last few minutes. And Tim English he's cracking in here, so he's getting a bit angry, which is what you want around the footy after you've been beaten a couple of times. So they just need to scrap it out for a minute or two and hopefully get it and keep it in their end. Well,
Libba's fast becoming one of the most dominant players on the ground here. He wins that little scrap with Riley West. Daniel to Cleary. He'll look to poke his way through the zone. Stretton did well. Cut that off. It was intended for McLean. McComb, strong in the body, shrugs a tackle. Raak's handball over the top to McPherson. He goes inside, but misses Bontempelli. It's still alive. Ned Harris commits the body. He's taken to ground. White's come from all sides. Sullivan, Smith, trying to ride the tackle there is Garner. Keeps it alive to Sullivan. Well done. They worked it well. Got it out to Tristan Maple. He puts it into the path of Lobb. It's a one-on-one between Lobb and Duray. Lobb does well. High kick. Jones versus Darcy at half forward. Darcy forced a punch. Ugle-Hagan paddles it over the top. Darcy can kick it high inside 50. Norton the size advantage. Richards got it to ground. Raak leaves it for Crozier. He's immediately taken down by Willoughby. They'll have a ball up 20 metres out from the white goal. They're surging in the second term. They've kicked 5 goals to no score to come from 3 goals down to 2 goals up. 4 30-minute quarters here in Ballarat. We've just hit the 16-minute mark of the second, and Sam Willoughby wrapped up, the 22-year-old from Deniliquin. Spent the last 4 years at Echuca, finished 4th in the league best and fairest last year, and best on ground in Echuca's first flag in 20 years. Sam Darcy out of the ruck. Misses with the snap right. Minor score for the youngster. So what can Blue do here from the kick in? Firstly, just need to stabilise things. And it feels like they have the last few minutes, Tim. They've stabilised the situation, at least been able to break even in a few contests, but now they need to try and get it going their way.
Yeah, they've stemmed the flow of scoring, which is what they're after. Now they just need to get it in their end and hopefully for the ball to spend a bit of time down there and get the next score.
McComb, Richards close to the line. Past Orgel. Well done, McComb again. Kept it alive, but McLean picked it off. Poulter in close quarters. Baker, Jones should be able to pick this off. Fingertipper couldn't, but controlled it on the deck. Boot to ball quickly. Cleary comes across. And White again set up nicely behind the football. The switch is on to Rory Lobb. That'll open up the forward 50 a little more. Going back with courage, but not able to get there was McNeil. It's marked by Ugle-Hagan. He can deliver towards the pocket. Norton had just a couple of metres and the kick was perfect. And Aaron Norton can go back from about 35 out and a 45-degree angle. As Jamara heads to the bench for the spell. Tristan Maple likewise, and checking back into the game will be Jordan Sweet and Jared Gilby. How's Aaron's Norton summer been?
Yeah, he's obviously one of our key prime movers in the forward line. He's going well. He's had a good battle with Gardner and Jonesy in the back line. So they've been going head to head all year and all off season, and hopefully. Yeah, he has another good year like he did last year. There
was some interesting feedback. Liam Jones, who only knows one way, he's only got two modes, hasn't he? On and off. And he goes full bore at every training session. And a couple of the Bulldogs coaching staff have said, look, he's just made our forwards better from just beating the stuffing out of them at every single training session. Yeah. That sort of level of competitiveness at training during the week, just, well, you know, the rising tide lifts all boats. Treloar, Ballantyne. Delivery inside 50 will work nicely for Cody Raak. Maybe just outside his range, given he's got to kick it into the breeze here. The 20-year-old, originally from Caroline Springs and the Western Jets. So we deliver to the top of the square, and Bontempelli, in a sight that will make Bulldogs fans very pleased, manages to drift forward and get on the end of one. And that's yet another weapon that the Dogs are able to add to this forward mix.
Yeah, it's pretty nice if you can have Bont slide forward, and those boys in the forward line are already pretty tall. To add another 6'4" or 5", whatever Bont is, that plays as a smaller midfielder, it's pretty dangerous for any defence in the league that we'll be facing. So it's pretty exciting with the mix we've got, and especially through the midfield and up forward, and with adding Jonesy in the back line, it should be a good year for us.
Blue kicked their first of the second term through Marcus Bontempelli. As we approach the 20-minute mark of these 30-minute quarters, margin back to 8 points. been a good contest. It was all blue in the opening term, 4-1, and it's been all white in the second. So plenty for both coaching groups to be pleased with at half-time. It's been a good, solid hit out. We'll get an update on Ryan Gardner for you as soon as we can. Stretton wins one out of the middle for Blue. So the tide turning a little bit their way now. Inside 50. Good juggling effort there from Josh Chatfield. 22-year-old from Koroit won a flag there in 2018. Went to St. Pat's, the great school in Ballarat, and then through the Rebels, and these days plays his local club footy at North Ballarat City. Won their goal kicking a couple of years ago. Moved to Melbourne last year to work with Jared Blair, former Collingwood player, and focus on his footy. Had 11 VFL games for Footscray last year, did Josh. He slots that one. And just as Tim O'Brien suggested, they managed to stabilise the situation, and now they've turned it into a couple of goals and get the game back on their terms.
Yeah, it's exactly what they were after, and it's sort of come from the aggressiveness of Tim English in the middle and the other midfielders around him to then stem that tide, and they've got it forward, and they've been able to kick the last couple of goals, which is good.
So goals to Bontempelli and Chatfield, and it's back to a 2-point game. Good to see Josh out there. Josh Chatfield's had a few niggles throughout the pre-season, so this is his first run for the year. It's been such a healthy list at the Dogs. The opportunity for the VFL players to get match minutes has been a little bit limited. So we may well find when they play North in a week or two, you'll see a lot more of the VFL listed players get an opportunity as they look to build up to their season, which will start round 1 of the VFL the week after the AFL begins. So round 2 of AFL will be the opening round of the VFL season this year. You'll see all the action every Sunday on 7 VFL. Stretton delivers it inside 50 again. Gota, Cleary. And the ebbs and flows in this game have been quite distinct, haven't they? It was all blue in the opening term and was all white. And now the last 5 minutes has been all blue out of the middle.
Yeah, it certainly has. It seems to come from the midfield clearance, which is not unusual, but it has been either the blue or the white's been on top and they haven't been able to neutralise it. And
for two midfields with such dominant quality players, it's been amazing, hasn't it? You sort of see them go to head, and when one gets on top, they actually manage to sort of retain that dominance for a little while, and then the other somehow finds a way to flip it back on its head, kick towards the wing, it'll get over the back. Crozier in best position to tidy it up, and Jones will now look to swing it wide and create some space. Can they attack now out of the back 50? Good to see Ryan Gardner back out there. That's great news. He delivers that ball to the wing and finds Raak. So Gardner, who'd left the field earlier with hanging onto that left forearm, he's back into the action with a bit of strapping on it. Josh Bruce goes short to Jared Gilby, another VFL listed player. High to half forward. Jones versus Darcy. Third man across is Crozier.
They did well there because the Whites actually had an extra one forward of the ball somehow, and Crosby's been able to come off and take that intercept mark.
Landed awkwardly. He and Jones collided in midair. It was pretty solid contact. Gets the thumbs up from the training staff. Crozier goes down the line. Karmas in best position here. Flying over the top was Bruce. Sweet uses his size and bulk. Liberatore in there scrapping as well. So now the onus on White to regain some control around the contest. Got some good names around it with McRae, Liberatore, Sullivan. Poulter immediately tackled by West and Orgel. English versus Sweet. Sweet won the tap. You can see he was trying to flip it to McRae, who then runs straight into English, wraps him up. Some heavy work in there at the moment between these two teams.
Yeah, the depth of our midfield across the squad means that both sides have got some stars in there. So it is good to watch, actually, them going head-to-head.
And it's great for, as we talk about, the rising tide floats all boats, just to have that level of competition, the quality competition during the week means that when it gets to match day, you're used to playing against the likes of Jack McRae and Tom Liberatore every day.
Yeah, that's right. And hopefully on the weekends it gets a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, that'd be the ideal world. Kick inside 50. Sweeping in there was Jones. Off to Ugle-Hagan. Back onto his right. Looks for an option. It was Smith that he was going for, and Treloar read it beautifully. Again, Blue will look to switch and create some space on the broadcast side. This is Riley West. Hits the 45 kick to Dale. Wasn't a lot of space to work in, so he hit that beautifully. Dale, they now switch aggressively to the outer side. Gardner couldn't control it. Jones is lurking. He knows he'll have the speed and the tricks. In the end, Ryan Gardner, I think, pretty happy to see that one over the line. Wouldn't want Arthur Jones in a foot race, I wouldn't have thought.
No, when that got to the ground, I think Gardner was quite happy for that to go out of bounds, so that's for sure.
So 25 and 3/4 minutes gone. These 30-minute quarters. Liberatore hunts it on the deck. Off to Smith. Pressure came from Stretton, affected the kick. Scott couldn't control it with one hand. Spills to Treloar. Tidy to Jones. Karmas has got a couple to beat in the air, did well. Took it in the hands nicely. Made a great start to this game with a couple of first quarter goals. Now to English, who doesn't appreciate the attention from McRae. Just gives him a couple of friendly elbows.
Yeah, I think the boys are sick of playing against each other here.
Yeah.
They're looking forward to next week.
Here's Treloar. Squares it up to Bailey Dale. White set up nicely behind the ball here. Really heavy zone. Only one player behind Bailey Dale. He's got to find his way through the rest. So he swings it out wide to Dan Orgel. He'll take the chip down the line. That's a beautiful kick and not a lot of space to work with, and Stretton takes it in front of his eyes. So a good control build up here from Blue. Just taking what they've been given at the moment, not trying to force anything. This is Dale. Steps inside of Jones, changes the angle slightly, bombs it towards the top of the square. Well done, nicely read. Well played, Jared Gilby. Bruce Williams just stubbed the kick a little. Crashing through was Jones, but ran in a lob. Well done, McPherson. Tidy, swings it inside 50. 2-on-2 at ground level. Cleary just got the handball away. He's got a couple of options. Smith, Baker. Well done, Orgel. Made the smother. Can he corral Oscar Baker? Turns on the Jets. Has got some speed. Kicks it high back towards the wing. 2-on-2, Norton. Crashes over the top of Jones. Last man standing was Dale. West. Callett has changed sides. English. Riley West runs to 55. Towards the pocket. Not where he was intending the kick. And Josh Bruce has done some good things behind the footy so far.
Yeah, he has. He's obviously experienced and has played a lot of footy. So he's using his brain and positioning himself well to be able to intercept and affect those long balls coming in.
Spent most of his summer just tuning up and polishing up his work as a defender. As you mentioned, he started his career playing back and spent some time back at GWS and then sort of went forward when he was at St Kilda and won a couple of goal-kicking titles, etc. As someone who's played at both ends of the ground yourself, how difficult is it to tweak? When it's one thing to sort of play forward and back on a regular basis, but when you do it in blocks over your career, is it difficult to sort of have to reset again in terms of even just timing and position and how you read it?
If you're doing it in blocks, I don't find it too bad, but it's when it's week to week, it can get a little bit disruptive on your preparation and consistency. So if you do it in blocks, I find it's not too bad. You learn the craft and you sort of carry that forward with you. So yeah, going end to end isn't too bad, but if it's week to week, it can get a little bit difficult.
So for Josh, he's been able to spend the whole summer there. He can just settle himself back and get used to those around him. Oh, that's a big fend off too. Straight into the mush of Luke Gota. And then he delivers short to Tom Liberatore, who's been one of the best on the ground in this opening half. Had a profound influence, particularly early in the second term when White made that big run. They kicked 5 unanswered goals to hit the front. At the moment, they lead by 2 points with 30 seconds left in the term. So coaching staff will just want to see Blue be tidy here. That kick from Dale wasn't what they were looking for. It was quite the opposite of tidy. Here comes Garner inside 50. Can White make them pay? Gardner against Norton towards the line. Gardner, happy to see it go out. And that should just about be enough. No time on in these games, just a flat 30 minutes. So siren should probably go before the ball's brought back into play, or certainly at almost the same time. There it is. Good contest here at Mars Stadium.